Far from the noise of civilization, away from the glittering spotlights of a billion-dollar industry, lies a tiny archipelago beaten by the fierce waves of the Atlantic Ocean. Cape Verde, in this arid, volcanic land, where the entire population could barely fill a single stadium of a global metropolis, football is not just a game. It is the loudest voice to shout to the world, "We are here." When Josimar Dias, known to the footballing world as Vozinha, stepped into that goal to carry the entire destiny of a nation on his shoulders, no one yet realized the epic tale that was about to be written. He did not grow up in the comfort of ultra-luxury academies or on flawless grass pitches. He was forged on concrete grounds, under harsh island winds, with a will tempered by necessity. He set out not just to be a goalkeeper, but to become an island gladiator defending his goal at all costs. African football is a relentless arena of pure physical power, massive fan bases, and multi-million-dollar global stars playing in Europe's elite leagues. When Cape Verde, nicknamed the Blue Sharks, took their first steps into this colossal continental coliseum, football authorities viewed them as easy prey, a mere statistics padding team. They were facing century-old football empires like Cameroon, Egypt, and Ghana. Yet, on that grand stage, Vozinha stood firm behind the defensive line. He wasn't just saving a leather ball flying toward him. He was rescuing the pride, the anger against being underestimated, and the existential struggle of an entire people. Standing like a colossus as giant forwards advanced, this man defied limited budgets, impossibilities, and isolation, turning his goal into an impenetrable ocean fortress. The history of the Africa Cup of Nations would eventually record a precise second where football ceased to be just a sport and transformed into a pure test of loyalty and character. Facing Senegal, Vozinha suffered a brutal, airborne high-impact collision with Sadio Mane, one of the most dangerous and explosive forwards in the world. He sustained a severe blow, suffering a concussion, his vision blurring, his world spinning, his legs could barely support his weight. Medically and logically, he should have left the pitch immediately. But he refused to take off his gloves. He refused to abandon the hope of the people standing behind him. In that moment, there was no pain or fear in his eyes, only the unyielding, unstoppable stubbornness of a man who refused to leave his small island nation alone against giants. That dark and painful night, which ultimately ended in a hospital room, engraved his name into the history of footballing sacrifice in letters of gold. For a goalkeeper, loneliness is the ultimate enemy. Especially when you lack a massive media machinery or billion-dollar club lobbies to protect you, every minor mistake can signify the absolute end of your career. Throughout his long journey, Vozinha did not decorate the glamorous transfer headlines of elite European clubs. He quietly poured his sweat, working his way up like a true football nomad in Cyprus, Portugal, Slovakia, and Saudi Arabia. Yet, every single time he pulled that national jersey over his chest, he emerged from those limited conditions like a true defensive mastermind. His goaltending anatomy was not a genetic luxury, nor was it the product of high-tech laboratories. It was a hardened steel, forged in ocean waters, built entirely upon raw reflexes, flawless positioning, and a towering threshold for pain. And when the calendars displayed that historic day, Vozinha and his brave islanders would stand face-to-face with the absolute aristocrats of world football, Spain. The most expensive feat on the planet, the geometric geniuses of tiki-taka, had completely placed the Cape Verde goal under a total siege. The Spanish Matadors arrived in relentless waves, raining high-velocity missiles toward the net. It was at that exact moment that everyone in the stadium witnessed a miracle that defied time itself. Vozinha was no longer merely a human being in that goal. He had transformed into an insurmountable wall, absorbing all the fierce currents of the Atlantic on his chest. He deflected impossible rockets, heading for the top corner with the absolute tips of his fingers, dominated in one-on-one situations, and forced the world-class superstars of Spain to look up at the sky in absolute disbelief. Every single save executed that day was an unyielding answer from a tiny island to a massive empire. Now, lean back and ponder, when the greatest stars in the world are marching directly upon you, what does it truly feel like to protect the entire honor of a nation with nothing but two gloves?